Composing Gloves here, and this is the 38th video in the Kontakt from the Ground Up tutorial series. And today we're going to be talking about the flanger. Now, I've covered flangers and chorusers and things rather extensively in the FL12 effects series. They have things that are literally just flangers and just chorusers. Their phaser is quite unique though, so I'm not sure the phaser in this one will be the same. Maybe it will be. So I've kind of looked over this flanger, and there's one thing that's kind of cool is this color knob here. But what a flanger does essentially is it takes audio, it clones it, and then it reintroduces that audio back into your signal at a particular delay time. Flangers typically work on shorter delay times than chorus effects and other things, but chorus are usually pretty fast as well. Reverb take really long delay times. And what's cool about a flanger is you can modulate its introduction rate. So I don't know. I've got this sort of visual in my head of my signal going along here. And this other signal is coming at it from like a 90-degree angle, introducing it into the original signal, making like a right turn into my signal. I don't know. Maybe that was a horrible visual for you. But the more I study it, that's more of the image that I see. You have presets and bypass options here if you do not want your flanger. Without it, it sounds like this. We're using the flute from the last one. With it sounds like this. And if we were to change the speed and depth, and we turn the feedback up, we get that wonderful mess, which is pretty much typical of every flanger ever. So the way a flanger works on introducing the signal is on an LFO principle. So I haven't covered LFOs yet, but an LFO is a wave. I've talked about them a little bit before. That says, for example, when the LFO is at negative amplitude, -1, it says don't go in a different way. I don't know. I'm not helping anything right now. Anyways, it tells it a signal to turn on and off. When it's down, it's off. When it's up, it's on. But that can mean several things on and off. Because right here we're talking about a signal. So it may just introduce a different way of introducing the signal. So if you don't completely understand that, just understand that an LFO is modulating. It's turning on and off the depth and the speed. I mean, the depth and just the depth in this case. There should be another one. Just a sec. Let me open up an actual flanger somewhere. Yeah, the delay and depth. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, they do not have the delay here. So, but it's modulating that essentially with the depth. So first it does, because this is doing the same thing a typical flanger does. So wow, that's a little weird they didn't put that on there. You have your delay though. So it's a delayed signal. It's cloning the signal from the flanger, but they don't give you control over the delay apparently. But as you turn the delay up and down, what it'll do is it will add the delay and then the delay and depth together. So how far in pitch. So that's what the depth is, how far in pitch that clone signal can leave. So we know that pitch is a set of oscillations that happens in a second. And so it will increase or decrease that amount by a certain amount. And as a result, you'll get this weird back and forth motion from your signal. I hope I'm not confusing you right now. Most of it's important on, because I understand clearly how it works. Most of it's important of just knowing what it sounds like, but I happen to know how it works, and it's harder to explain than I anticipate sometimes. So anyways, it modulates between these two things on and off. So the greater the depth, the more pitch variation, and the greater the smaller the delay, the faster that modulation will happen. But you got to remember this modulation is being controlled by an external LFO. And so right now it's undulating. It's oscillating at 0.05 hertz a second. So it's actually really slow. And if we turn it up, we can go all the way up to 8 times a second, which is pretty quick. And so if we were to play a note, you can hear it doing that really fast, and it's going back and forth. Maybe the delay is constant, and that's why they don't give you control over it. But if we were to turn this way up, you'd hear the other note kind of become apparent, because now it's 100 cents out of tune. You can see, and it becomes less apparent because it's not varying in pitch as much. Hopefully that helps. So this controls that speed. And the phase, now we've talked about phase before, so I'm not going to cover it again. But this phase is actually controlling the phase of the LFO, which we are controlling with the speed. So And what does that mean? Well, that means that because it's controlling the phase, it'll affect what pitch our note starts at consistently, and it'll affect how the signal, what the phase of our signal is when it reaches and is reintroduced back into our flanger. May or may not be important to you. One of those things that you may move 100 million times, it may not make any difference in the way your sound sounds. And then you have this color knob, and this color knob is actually pretty cool. This is a unique one, I believe. Yes, it is unique. What this controls is basically how loud your LFO can get. And now you don't ever hear your LFO, but it controls the peak, so the negatives and positives. As a result, it changes the width of your flange. So if we have it going on like that. If you don't follow that, it's like basically sending another LFO to modulate your LFO, which you can do not in the fruity LFO, but you can do it in the chorus. You could send an LFO to control an LFO. And so you get this like wah 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 wah. And if you do any FM synthesis and you're working at really slow tempos, you'll hear it very easily when you use one signal to control another signal turning on and off. If you don't know what that is, go watch the what is FM synthesis. Hopefully you'll get the hang of it. But I'm trying to teach FM synthesis in that video, so it's whatever. And then feedback. So in order to get that wow, 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 they have to send some of the signal back in. Now I might be saying, well, wait, you just said that they're cloning and sending the signal back in. Well, this feedback is a little different in the way it's introduced. And as a result, the way this feedback is introduced creates sort of a containery effect. I don't know. I'll show you. It's real obvious. This is a signature sound of a flanger, though. That sound is the flanger. Whenever I hear it, I hear Sonic the Hedgehog, if you played any of those old games. So you don't need to have the feedback for it to necessarily work, but without the feedback, it sounds more like a chorus effect than anything. You have the wet dry, as you do in all the others, and that's pretty much the flanger in a nutshell. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop a comment, because knowledge bombs are cool. And if you're wearing sandals while watching this video, it's destiny. You should subscribe. Have a blessed day.